Hey guys, welcome to my video number 2 installation on my Kenda Cataclysm tires. I don't want to turn this into a tire installation video or a how-to or anything like that. I just want to go over basically how I change my own motorcycle tires, at least the demount and mount portion of it. I'll get into the balancing portion of it later. I don't know if you can see it. It's still up there on the shelf. But what we have here is the Harbor Freight tire changer setup. I've made a couple of modifications to it. I've added this all thread that screws into the Harbor Freight. This helps me clamp down the wheel real securely. I've added some wooden blocks here that the rim will sit on. The wood will not, this is soft pine, this will not scratch the wheels. So I can hold the wheel securely on here while I demount and do the mount portion of it. I have had to reinforce this a little bit. I found a weak spot in the Harbor Freight. There's so much torque that's happening on some of these really hard tires, specifically the Dunlops, that I found a weak portion in the Harbor Freight setup, so I had a friend weld me up a reinforcement there that fixed me up. The Harbor Freight comes with a tire bar. You will scratch your wheels if you use this. I don't use this for anything other than the bead breaking portion of the tire changer. So this will actually go in here, and I can break the bead of tires with this nicely. Doesn't take too much effort with the leverage of this bar. The actual demounting and mounting portion of the tire changing setup is thanks to the no scuff tire tool. There's two sides to this. There's a demount tip, and then there's the mounting end here. Both of them have a I guess it's a hard nylon type product that will not scratch the wheel. So there is a technique to this to make it easier and to avoid damaging the wheel or the tool for that matter. But this was, gee whiz, I bought this a few years ago. I think the guy who makes them, I think his website is called No Scuff Tire Tool. I think he's still in business. I don't remember what it cost back then, $100 or $120, don't quote me. He uses, on the demount tip, he uses a Nomar, I believe it is, tip. So this is an off-the-shelf tip that you can get replacements for. In fact, I've had to replace this several times. If you don't do the precise, if you don't do the exact demount procedure, you can damage this tip. So these tips are readily available, and I've replaced them several times. I have a couple more on the shelf ready to go. This setup, just for those of you that have never used it and are considering it, it works very good with a couple, like I said, a couple of modifications that I did. And if you've got a couple of extra hands, this is difficult to use if you're by yourself. You can do it by yourself. If you have a helper, that makes it all the easier. And you can pop the old tires off, new tires on, and you're done without any scratches. So this is my tire changer setup. As you can see, I've got the front wheel off the Harley already, and I'm going to try to recruit my son to help me, and we'll take some clips of the process. Again, I don't want to turn this into a tire changing video. This is more about the Kenda Cataclysms. Most of my focus will be on when we're actually mounting the Kendas, but I'll do some quick scenes of the demounting of the Dunlop, the bead breaking and the demounting of the tire, so you can see the process at least. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Okay, here we go, guys. We're at the bead breaking portion of the tire change. As you can see, I've got my Harley wheel on its side. The valve core, Schrader valve, whatever you want to call it, is out of the valve stem. There's no air in that tire. What I've got is, what you don't see under the tire between the tire and the actual tire changer on the ground there, where I'm pointing, there's a folded up towel acting as insulation between the high point of the tire changer underneath and the wheel, of course, so I don't scratch the wheel. This particular tire has a molded in bead here, which actually will prevent the demounting or the bead breaking portion of the tire changer from sliding in and hitting the wheel. Most tires don't have that, so in that event I will use some plastic like this to prevent the tool here, or the bead breaking portion of it, from hitting and impacting and scratching the wheel. This is pretty thick plastic, flexible, and does a good job of protecting the wheel. On this one, I just have to keep an eye on it, and I can break that bead. Since I don't have my assistant with me right now, I'm going to go ahead and attempt this by myself, so you can experience it. With one done, I'll just rotate the wheel around a little bit, and I'll do this 3 or 4 times until this entire side of the tire is broken. This one is breaking exceptionally easy. If you changed enough tires, you'll learn to appreciate when something is this easy. This is unusual, so I'm very happy, but sometimes you get some really difficult ones. So this side of the wheel, the bead is completely broken. I'll go ahead and flip the wheel over, and I'll repeat the process on the other side. This side's a little bit more difficult. There it goes. Very nice. I think it helps that this tire was probably mounted on this wheel approximately 18 months ago or so, so that's probably a good portion of the reason why it's coming off so easy. There we go. This bead is broken. What I also want to mention is on this particular wheel, there's a rotor on both sides of the wheel, so there's a rotor underneath as well. You want to make sure that you're not putting any pressure on that. So obviously this side of the wheel is suspended. I don't know if you can tell, but there's a 2x4 supporting this side of the wheel as well, so that rotor that's on the floor side is suspended off the ground, so it's not going to get warped or damaged. So that's pretty much it. The bead is broken on both sides of this. We're ready to move up, mount this wheel into the tire changer, and start removing the tire from the wheel. Okay, so we're here. We're ready to demount this tire off the wheel here. I've got my assistant, my son Cody, here. He's going to help me out. This is best done as a 2-person operation. I've got my no-scuff tire tool demount tip on. I've got a bottle of just basically soap, dish soap and water. I'm going to lubricate this bead, and we're going to pop it off. It's really easy. So I'm just going to give this some lube so it pops off that bead really good. And here we go. Go ahead, Cody, if you want to push down on that bead, I'm going to pop the tool in. Turn. Okay, that's good. Okay, so it's up, and all you have to do is lift up on this side. Just lift that, and it should stay up. You want to prevent this from falling down in there. This one didn't come all the way off, but we can lift it up. Lift that side there. There you go. Okay, that bead's up. Now we got to get the lower bead. I'm just going to go ahead and spray underneath and give it a little bit of lube. And repeat that process. Okay, got it. Go ahead and lift up here. That's it. Another thing I want to make note of is the rotational direction of the tire. These tires are obviously directional. In this case, the arrow is going counterclockwise. So I'll make note of that when I go ahead and install the Kenda. So that'll be it for now. Okay, we're ready to begin the Kenda tire installation. The thing that I've done so far is I've cleaned the bead surfaces on the wheel. This one cleaned up easy. As I said, the factory Dunlop wasn't on this wheel very long, so it didn't leave a lot of black, rubberized, probably limited number of heat cycles, whatever. You want to make sure that surface is nice and clean. The only thing we'll do to aid in the installation is I use the Nomar tire paste. I'll put a bead of this on this bead of the tire, and the first bead goes on without any tools. You just can pretty much push it on, and then we'll go ahead and set up to put the second bead on. But here we go. I have Cody with me, and we're going to begin. So the only other thing I need to mention is obviously the old tire came off in a counterclockwise direction, so I found the directional arrow on this tire, and I've got it configured where it's also counterclockwise as well. So that's very important for water dissipation when you're going down the road. So we should be good to go, and that should be enough to push that bead on. So let's go ahead and do that. One other thing to mention too, before I proceed, most tires have a yellow dot on them from the factory. What that yellow dot indicates is during manufacture they've identified this as the light spot of the tire. Generally you want to correspond the yellow dot with the valve stem on the wheel. Theoretically, the valve stem on the wheel is technically the heaviest part of the wheel assembly. So you'll match the light spot of the tire with the heavy spot of the wheel. Therefore, in theory, you'll use less counterweights to do a balance. What some guys do is they'll actually take this wheel with no tire on it and put it on their balancer to see what the true heavy spot of the wheel is. Sometimes it's not the valve stem, but it's usually the case, and that's what I follow. So again, I'm just going to verify that we're counterclockwise. There's the arrow right there in a counterclockwise orientation. So this one we can just push right on. Cody, if you want to push right here, we should be able to push this guy right on there. There. You just have to get right in the right orientation there. So next step is we're going to lubricate this bead with a liberal supply of the tire lube. But I'm also going to look, since the yellow dot is on the underside, I'll make sure that this tire is oriented correctly. So here's the yellow dot right here with my finger, and we are right there by the valve stem. So we're going to try to leave it there the best we can, because once you get the second bead on, sometimes it's difficult to rotate the tire. So go ahead and leave this out. Yeah, if you want to install that crossbar code. Lift it up and you have the nut and bolt over there. You don't have to use the wrench, you can just do it by hand. Okay. Okay, we're ready to go. So now we're going to use the mounting portion of this. As you can see, the wheel will actually ride on this hardened nylon product, so it won't scratch it. And then on this, it's got a tapered bar here, and that's what's actually going to kind of coax the tire on underneath the bead of the wheel. So put this underneath. Put it on the wheel. Now we have to push this down only until this portion reaches that. You don't want to go too far. Perfect. That's exactly where you want to be. Alright, so now you're going to take this guy and you're going to hold him right about there. Okay. And at the same time, as this progresses along, you want to push down the wheel and follow it around with holding this one right there. You ready? Yep. Push, 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 push. Okay, I'll hold this. Now you want to push that wheel, that tire down into the bead because you're not really far down there. There you go. Okay, come over here and hold it. I'll push down here. And there we go. We're in. So there you have it. We got both beads on there. Tire's got no scratches on it, or the wheel's got no scratches on it. We're going to try to, I'll just verify that the yellow dot aligns with the valve stem, and then we'll be able to take this assembly off and inflate it and get the two beads to pop. And we'll have the first tire on. I can say that from experience, this one was a lot easier to do than the factory Dunlops or even the Dunlop Elite 3s and Elite 4s. Very, very hard, difficult tires. This tire, it's nighttime, so I didn't have the luxury of leaving this tire out in the sun. On the Dunlops, it's mandatory. You leave the tire out in the sun for about an hour. They get nice and hot and warmer, and it helps with the installation process. I didn't have that luxury, but these still went on pretty good. I'm pleased. So, they're not quite as easy as the Avons. They're exactly what I thought. They're a little bit more difficult than Avons, but not much more difficult. I'm very pleased with the way these went on. So, 2 thumbs up for that. And the next video, I might do a short video clip of the beads popping, and then I'll do another video on or a recording of the balancing process. So thanks for watching. Okay guys, we're back. We're ready to set the bead here with air. As you can see, I've got the yellow dot, which indicates the light spot of the tire aligned with the theoretical heavy spot of the wheel, which is the valve stem. We did a good job on that. I'm going to set the bead with air by filling it up. I've got the Schrader valve back in the valve stem, otherwise it wouldn't work. Word of warning, you want to keep your hand on the tread, but you can keep it flat. You don't want to get your finger in that opening, otherwise you're going to be in for a world of hurt. So let's go ahead and set the bead. It should set fairly easily with all the lube that I've got on there. We should hear 2 pops. 1, 2. That was it. That was it. So this set really, really easy. I'm very impressed with the tire installation. I'll go ahead and set the air pressure on this. On the Harley, it's 36 psi front, 40 in the back. Obviously, I haven't done the back yet. I'm going to the next step on the process is the balancing stage of it. I did not remove the factory counterweights on this yet. I'll remove those. Alright guys, I just wanted to give you some video footage of me installing the rear tire. The rear tires are always a little more challenging than the fronts. So I just wanted to show you the process on the rear as well. Same way, I've already got the bottom bead already lubed up pretty good. So we're going to push this on by hand, and then we're going to lube up the other bead and use our no-scuff tire tool and install it. You want to give me a hand code? Oh well, that was easy. Okay, so as I had shown in the previous video, I used a piece of tape to indicate the heavy spot of the wheel. I lined up the yellow dot of the tire, which is the light spot of the tire, with the heavy spot of the wheel to minimize the amount of counterweights that I got to put on here when I balance it. So we're going to go ahead and go ahead and code if you want to put that crossbar on, and I'm going to start lubing this up, and we'll get ready to install the second bead. Okay, I think we have enough on. Alright, Cody, you can go on that side. Lift the tire up. Okay, you're going to push it down just to about that spot. Hold this for a minute right here. I'll get your other tool to hold the bead down. Put that right there. Got it? Let's do this.
I'm pushing down.
Yeah, you got to push down really hard there. Alright, hold this. Got it? Good. That easy. So these tires mount fairly easily. These typically these heavy cruiser tires that are very, very challenging to mount, especially the back one. We've done Dunlop Elite bores before, and it's taken like 3 of us to do it, and we still struggled. These went on very well. So these are a very easy tire to install. I'm just going to go ahead and tweak the tire a little bit. I'm about 1 inch off on my mark. We'll straighten that out, and then we'll set the bead, but that's it. Next video you'll see us, I'm going to do a performance evaluation of the bike with the new tires installed after I get about a few hundred miles on it, and I'll give an impression of the tires and how they perform. Thanks for watching. Okay guys, I'm here at my tire balancer setup. It's nothing sophisticated, as you can see. I just built a wooden frame to suspend it. Basically, I found this assembly here, or at least these components online years ago. There's a guy in Lakeland, Florida, I forget his name, that made these. It's basically these inline skate bearing, ball bearing deals here that he installed on these brackets, and then there's a straight rod here with 2 centering cones, and it provides a really low friction setup where things roll nice and smoothly. So what I've got here is I intentionally left the factory wheel weights on the wheel just to show you an out of balance situation here. So coincidentally, on the previous tire there were 7 factory wheel weights right by the valve stem. So what I should have done in retrospect is I probably should have taken the wheel off my tire changer with no tire on it, over to the balancer setup, and checked and verified that the valve stem was the heavy part of the wheel, of course without wheel weights. I didn't do that. I suspect the wheel is that far out of balance. That's why there were weights by the valve stem. At any rate, it's not that big of a deal. We're just going to go ahead and balance it. So I want to show you what it looks like when a wheel is out of balance. So right now I have the 7 weights in the valve stem right there, right here at your, I guess 3 o'clock position. So if I let go, you're going to see that clearly where the weights are is still not the heavy spot. It's still too heavy. It's too heavy 180 degrees over. If I put the weights again at 9 o'clock and let go, you'll see it goes up as well. So obviously the wheel is significantly heavier 180 degrees opposite the valve stem. So in this case, I should have. I never do that because usually wheels are pretty true, and in this case, I suspect it's not. The chances of having both the Dunlop and the Kenda Cataclysm to be that light up here by the valve stem is probably not likely. It's probably the wheel that's not true, but it's not that big of a deal. What I've already done is I've taken 3 of my weights, placed them right here where the existing weights are to add a little bit more weight, basically 3/4 of an ounce more in that location, and I get a perfect balance. So what I'm going to do is I've got 7 5 gram weights on there now. I'm going to pull those off. I guess the 35 ounces of existing weights added to the weights that I needed to make it. I basically to convert metric to standard. I need 2 ounces of weight to balance this assembly. I don't think that the 2 ounces is due to the tire. I suspect it's due to the wheel in this case. I promise you, when I go ahead and do the back, I'm going to actually check the balance of the back wheel with no weights on it to find out where the true heavy spot of the back wheel is before I put the tire on. But at any rate, I'm going to remove these existing weights from the factory. I'm going to install 2 ounces of my weights. I've, the weights typically come silver. I've spray painted them black. The Harley wheel is black, so they'll be less noticeable. So anyway, I'll have 2 ounces of weight on this assembly to get a perfect balance. So I'll shoot a video when that's done, and you can see for yourself. Hey guys, we're back. So we last left off. I had mounted the tire on the wheel. I aligned the light spot of the tire with the theoretical heavy spot of the wheel, which is typically the valve stem. It was going to take about 8 weights, 8 1/4 ounce weights. It was going to take a full 2 ounces to balance it, and I got it perfectly balanced with that. But that's a lot of weight. Probably acceptable. I think they say the allowable amount of counterweight is up to 1% of the wheel assembly weight. I never weighed this, so the 2 ounces was probably okay, but that's a lot of weight on there. So what I did tonight is I broke the bead down again. I didn't have to take the wheel off, but a tire off, but I broke the bead on both sides, and we put it back on my changer, and we were able to rotate the tire on the wheel. So now I put the light spot of the tire on the actual heavy spot of the wheel, and I was able to get a perfect balance with this with just 1 ounce of weight, so 4 1/4 ounce weights instead of 8. So that was a worthwhile mission. So that proves my theory that the theoretical heavy spot of the wheel being the valve stem is not always the case. So I should have practiced what I preach, and that is remove the original tire, put the wheel, the bare wheel alone on the balancer, and verify what the actual heavy point of the wheel is, because in this case it's not the valve stem. So I've got a perfect balance now with just 4 weights, 1 ounce of weight, which is totally acceptable, and this guy's ready to go back on the bike. So that's the balancing. I'm going to follow up this video with another one. Basically, just actually, I may arrange the video so that we give you an opportunity to see mounting the rear tire, the rear Kenda on the back wheel. So I'll probably maybe organize this a little bit, so you may have already seen that already. So thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for more. Okay, here we have my rear wheel. I dismounted the factory Dunlop, and I wanted to show you the theory. You know, the theory is, the common consensus is the heavy point of the wheel is where the valve stem is. So what I have here is the blank wheel with the pulley on it. No tire, no wheel weights on it. As you can see down here, I pulled off all the factory weights. So there's no weights at all. And actually, the valve stem is about 90 degrees off of bottom. If I rotate this up here, you'll see that it falls pretty good. This wheel is definitely not a balanced wheel. If I put the valve stem down here, you'll see it'll go up. So the heavy point of this wheel is actually down here. So I'm going to take a little piece of tape and I'll mark the heavy spot there, and I'll make sure I put the light spot of the tire, the yellow dot of the tire, which is the light spot, on that location. This way I minimize the amount of counterweights that I need to balance the assembly. So I just wanted to show you guys that. There you go.